Hey, we are live on Dating
Hey,
God's Way
dating God's way.
on
Hey
this good
guys.
Tuesday night. And while you are coming on, we wanted to say hi.
Hey
And
guys.
yeah, so look, let's kick this thing off right. As you guys join on, let's kick it off right.
Come
Here
on
we
in the room,
go.
guys. Let
Come
me do a
on,
share. Do a quick share from my Facebook
come
page.
on in this room. Don't do a quick share yet. I got some things before you start sharing.
Oh, you
All
do?
right. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. 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 So y'all come on in the room. Welcome to Dating God's Way.
Then go ahead.
We at it again. 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 Still back. We at it again. We at it again. We at it again. Yeah, we at it again. Still back. We at it again. We at it again. Still back. We at it again. Still back. We at it again.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Dating God's Way. Hey, it's go- it's going to be an exciting Tuesday night
Oh,
as we
yes.
jump into this discussion tonight. As we have a two-way and then the U way,
Go
the
ahead.
two-way conversation, and then we're gonna have a U-way conversation because I know you all are going to jump in here tonight. Oh
Yes.
my goodness, submission. Is it still relevant?
Is
Submission
it
is it
still
still
relevant?
relevant?
Is it old
But
fashioned or still
before we
relevant?
jump into submission, I want to present to you this in February of 2023, we are going to be in Cape Town, South
South
Africa for
Africa
our Vision 2023 conference here
conference.
in Cape Town, South Africa.
Yes.
Our host pastors are Pastor Jody and Cameron Johnson, and
Yes.
right there in Cape Town. And our special guest conference speaker will be none other than my dad, my spiritual father, Bishop Joseph
Joseph
A.
A.
McCargo.
McCargo.
So it's going to be another weekend to come and confer with God. Come and have a conference with God. Amen. That's what our focus is going to be. Our theme of our Vision 2023 conference is not on here, but we're going to add it. Our theme is run with it.
Yes.
Amen. So come on out to our Vision 2023 conference and get ready to run. Get ready to run with ideas, um, inventions, ingenuity. Come hear what the Lord has to say um, when as it pertains to that which He has put in you. So we're gonna run with it. All right. So Vision 2023 conference. You can dial get more information, email info@myvisioncommunity.org, or you can dial 202-768-9875, and someone will help you and get you the information that you need. So, yep. So come on out. The conference is lining up pretty good. Pretty good. It is coming together. Thank you, Jesus. Awesome. All right. So, Pastor E, you said you had some shares tonight?
Oh, okay. I thought we was talking tonight about so we've been in like kind of our partnership series, and this came up about submission. I get asked this question a lot. What is submission? Like I get asked that a lot. Are we supposed to submit? What that look like? I get that question asked a whole lot. And so yeah, like that's what we're gonna get in tonight. Like,
Yeah.
what does submission mean? Is it doing what somebody says? Like, what is it?
Mm. It's good.
Because a lot of people look at submission to as being weak, or not being able to, like, you have to do just what the other person says. But tonight we're going to talk about, like, what does it really mean? A strong partnership has dual submission. A strong partnership has dual submission.
Wow, you went to the end already.
I went to the end.
Yeah, you done went to the end. So let me tell you. So I remember when my sister got was she married in 92. I graduated out of high school. Yeah, 92. I graduated out of high school. I got to remember because that was a pretty pivotal time in my life. When my sister got married. It was Heartbreak Hotel. Oh my goodness.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
yeah, she broke. I mean, remember, like, she was we were tight. We were close. And then she decided to get married on me. But anyway, but I remember at her wedding, and it was a nice wedding because she had her wedding at the middle school or junior. We call it junior high school. She had her wedding at the junior high school where her and Bishop Kyle met. Her husband. So and they met in middle school. So they had their wedding in the same middle school, which was cute. So I but I remember when the preacher said, Reverend James Jones, my God, the late great Reverend James Jones. I'm sorry, but when he said in his when he said in the wedding vows, wife, do you submit to the husband? I mean, there was a gasp of air that let out in that.
What?
I mean, just about every female my sister age. I mean, it was now we talking about 94, so we talking about the women's liberation movement was at the women's liberation movement was thriving. It was rolling. It was like you don't submit to no man. You take control of your own self and everything. But just the gasp of air that let out when he said that, it was astonishing. I still remember that to this day, and that was in 94. So that was a long time ago.
Wow. So people was astonished. I mean, I've actually seen that too, where when it's that part to submit, like I've seen like where it becomes like a joke and like the person's like doesn't like say nothing, or they like, I don't know, like a whole thing like that. So yeah. Yeah. So submission, it's a little bit taboo, particularly, I don't think it's a race thing at all. I've seen it across all races, honestly. I've seen it across all races. You and I have been blessed to work with multi, different races, ethnic
diversity,
ethnicities, and everywhere you turn, Pastor, there is an issue with this thing called submission. I mean, it is not a black thing, not a white thing, not an Asian thing. It's a thing.
It's a thing.
And I think, with This Is Dating God's Way Plus, I think that until we really begin to talk about why it's a thing and also uncover what it really means, then you're going to see misuse of it, and or you're going to see, misunderstanding when it comes to why we need to submit.
Yeah. And I definitely have questions, or I want to pose some questions as we go on, because I'm thinking about some questions. I think they're going to be good questions. So as we go on, I'll pose my questions.
Okay, so let's get back into our intro. Like, submission has nothing to do with being weak, and I think that's one of the biggest myths out here, is that submission is about somebody being weak. And Pastor Will, I think that this comes up for a lot of people because they start off like, they start off strong. So let me just say it that way. For a strong person or a person that sees himself as a strong person, submission can be, the thought of submission can be challenging because they see it as like, when you what's that when you doing that? What's that thing you put people in? The whole thing.
The headlock?
It's like a wrestling thing that put them to sleep. The sleeper hold.
The sleeper hold. Okay. Go
Right.
ahead.
It's like you put them in a sleeper hold,
Go
or
ahead.
you put them in a wrestling position and they have to tap out.
Yeah.
Right? They have to tap out.
Have to
And
tap
that's
out.
like the person who's the strongest dominates. So some people take that same wrestling mentality as they think about relationships. That they think it has to do with, oh, I'm tapping out. Oh, that person domineering over me. They, they submit. They trying to be strong over me. And they don't understand, Pastor Will, the spiritual concept of submission.
Yeah. Yeah. And because there is a spiritual concept of submission.
Yeah.
And you know, it's funny how our carnality, those that are not believers, will exercise a spiritual principle in their non-spiritual life. And expect there to be an agreement or expect it to work.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, I'm already getting questions in the inbox. So this must be a hot one tonight because we only like 10 minutes in. I already got questions in the inbox. Go ahead, y'all. I love it.
But I also wrote this too, though, E.
Yeah.
That is submission and money tightly associated together when we talk about submission.
Wow. I think because our question is getting into this too. I think you talk about money, you're talking about gender, right? I think there's a lot of things that come up when we talk about submission as it relates to coming across like being controlled or being dominated or being intimidated, right? Those are some of the things that come up. And money is sometimes used in this conversation, and or gender is sometimes used in this conversation. So yeah, I think sometimes religion is used in this conversation as submission.
Yeah. And I mean, I think submission also relates to or can relate to the thought of subservient,
Yeah, somebody's subservient to the other.
Yeah. And when you bring, so that word submission brings imagery, right?
Yeah.
Submission brings imagery.
Yeah, that's good.
And when you don't see yourself being that image that you have created submission to be, the less likely you want any part of it, whether you are male or female.
Yeah.
Because you don't see yourself in the purity of the word that God has given it, submission, but you see it in the corrupted form of which people have used to manipulate others for no gain.
Yeah, I think the contrast tonight in which we're talking about then has to be between the word submission and then the word manipulation.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Because submission is a choice, right? And I think that it's really getting into the reality that people do manipulate people with money. People manipulate people with ministry, with religion, with God. People manipulate people with different things. I'm the man, do what I say. Da, da, da. Like those are manipulations.
So there's submission, there's manipulation, and then there's control.
Control, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's control. Somebody being controlling over another person.
Yeah.
Those three factors come up as it relates to submission for a lot of people. They see submission in the category of either control or manipulation instead of seeing submission for what it really is, which we're going to
Right.
talk about tonight. Right.
Yeah.
And we're spending our first 15 minutes really setting up for where we're going. I already gave, as President Will said, I gave you the context clue already about, submission being dual. So we know it's two people involved. Good partnership has dual submission. But anything else you want to throw out before we get into really what it is?
Oh no, I'm ready. Let's do it. Let's get into what it is.
Yeah, okay. And so submission really is about respect. It's about one's ability. Okay, I didn't say a female or male, but one's ability, a spouse or partner, ability to master compromise and also master the best interest of the whole. Let me say that again. Submission is about respect, and it's about the ability for the spouse or partner to be able to master the art of compromise, right? The art of compromise, and to be willing to put the whole first and not self first. That's submission.
Wow. You and in that, I also hear that submission is respect for God's order.
That's absolutely right. That's right.
Respect for God's order. That's submission. No,
What's
that's
the
part of
order?
it.
What's the order with Pastor Will? What's the order?
Well, the order is given in the roles that God has given man, right? And the roles and what he has set, and being submissive to God's order, regardless of who's in that place, right? Who's in that place of husband or who's in that place of wife, is that, going in, you already have to understand, that I have a principle, and whoever I decide to date or marry or in our marriage, that we're going to submit to God's order. That's the first order of a submission, is submitting to God, right? So we have to first submit to God to submit to his order before we even cross the line of submitting to each other, because we don't even know what it look like, because we don't have a clear view of God, being submissive to God in the first place.
Yeah, and this is Ephesians 5:21, which is making Pastor Will's point tonight of submitting yourselves one to the other in the fear of God. This is talking about marriage. This is chapter 5 of Ephesians 21. Submitting yourselves one to the other in the fear of God. So Pastor Willie, is telling us tonight that it starts with order.
And get
It
this.
starts with order.
And get this. I like that script. I love what you put up there. Submitting yourselves one another in the fear of God. And based on Sunday's message, I didn't get to it, but I'll say it now, is that the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom.
Absolutely. I said it on Sunday, actually. Yes.
Oh wow, yes.
In transformation class. That's true.
Wow. So submitting yourselves one another to God's wisdom, to godly wisdom.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. And to God's wisdom and the wisdom of one another. Submission to God's wisdom and the wisdom of one another.
Yeah.
So when we talk about submission tonight, we're talking about the ability to show your partner that you trust them, right? Completely. Submission is our ability to show our partner we trust them completely. And also that, we are willing to listen. We're willing to compromise, that we're willing to play our role, whatever that may be. I will say this, Pastor Will, I just want to get into it. We know from a biblical perspective, it says the husband is the head of the wife. That's in this same Ephesians 5. Let's be clear. But Pastor Will, I just want to get into it right quick. Like I see sometimes that people want to do the role designation of like, okay, so the man plays the role to lead, to protect, and to provide.
Good.
Is that true?
Yes, that's true.
But what happens in a society where now the wife is also put in the role of provision?
Yeah.
How
Right.
do we balance that? Because on one hand, like sometimes you have like this egotistical male syndrome that comes up of like you gonna do what I say because I'm the man, but then on the other hand, you want to share provision. I'm just asking some questions for all my single ladies out there that may not have a husband like like I have right now. It's a sweet husband. Hallelujah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, right. So, it's
The tea just came out. Somebody just brought out the tea.
the tea just came out. It's really a tough dynamic, especially when it comes to a man's ego and a
Okay.
man's pride,
Okay.
um, about who he is, and then who society say who he's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And when he's not measuring up to that societal standing,
Yeah.
it could be really hard for him to really see um where God is beyond himself.
Okay.
And so, and this is when you kind of this is when this is when this dynamic really begin to shake and fall, because if our income is not considered our income, and it's got to be my income or your income, then we're really not working together in the first
Mm,
place to come to a
mm,
place where we are submitted to one another, right?
mm.
And so we pretty much um doing it, kind of individual, kind of on an individual basis. I think I seen what was it, a TV show where the husband interfered with the wife getting a promotion because she was going to make more than him.
Yeah, but this is out. That's a true story, actually, Pastor Will.
Oh, that's a true story.
That's a true story. That's
Yeah,
not a TV show. That's a
I
true
can
story.
remember where I
Yeah,
read it or saw
I
it at.
remember.
Right,
It's a true story.
it's a true story, and how his security was wrapped into him being the money maker, other than seeing, wow, our marriage as an enterprise is growing, right?
Uh,
Our togetherness is growing. And but because you get into, or and maybe he know his wife better than anybody else, and maybe he felt like this was just another piece of ammo that she needed over him to do whatever she wanted to do. Hey,
okay, so then he get to make that decision for her?
absolutely. I don't think so, but if that's the case, they definitely had issues going in before that. Before that promotion was divvied out.
I would say this. I came into this relationship, meaning me and you, as a strong, independent woman. I have never had an issue with submission. I don't feel like I have. Like, I have an opinion, of course.
At first, you had a problem with submission at first, and
Like how? So let's talk about it. I would love to talk about this. Let's talk about it.
yeah, like the first couple of years, especially before the children, the first couple of years, you didn't know if you could trust, if you could. I mean, like I said, we got
That
married.
let me just be cleared out. That wasn't a submission problem. That was a we had been together for 6 months issue, right? And so I mean, look, for real, reality.
But it
wasn't
was a submission. It was, I don't. It may not have been a submission issue, but it projected as a submission and trust issue. So that's the way it projected. But we you know we settled. We settled in each other, and we learned. I think we both learned how to submit to each other. It was a both thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we're talking about tonight, Pastor Will, the dynamic of the respect and submission equaling respect. I don't know that I had an issue with respect, and maybe you see this differently. But I don't think I had an issue with respect and the respect of you. Do you feel like that? Let's talk it through tonight. I like it.
Okay, no, I don't. We didn't have. I don't think we had an issue with respect.
Okay.
But sometimes the way you back then, the way you were project. Our communication keys were totally different. You
Oh,
came
for
you
sure.
came from a family that yelled, and y'all standing 3 feet away from each other,
Yes.
but y'all not yelling at each other. Y'all just
Yeah.
talking.
That's
Y'all
that's
just
how we
y'all just
communicate.
y'all just got amplified voices, right?
But also I came from a very blunt family where we were really like boom, boom, boom. Like we talk. That's how we talk to each other. We need to get to the point.
Yes,
We need to be talking about this for 10 years, 3 years, holding it till tomorrow. We need to get through it right now.
right. And
And
my family,
I do think, Pastor Will, that that's some of the things that come into submission that may not be about submission. They're about other
there
aspects.
about other aspects. My family was a hold my mule family, right? Hold my mule, you know, you know, it was we dealt with issues head on when it became you know uh
Everything.
eruption, right?
Yeah.
When it became
Yeah. When it
everything.
blew up. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's so yeah.
It's a method. I think, but I think when everything becomes about submission, that is another problem. Right? It's like I think to me those were our communication issues.
Exactly, to a country
Country
family.
families for sure. That was more about our communication, but not necessarily. And I think that that does happen within the male and female dynamic. That sometimes just because somebody doesn't fully agree with you and or would like to talk something through or would like to get understanding, that's not about respect always. That's not about I don't respect your opinion. I just would also like to have my own.
Right, and quite frankly, I didn't marry you for you to submit to me. I married you so that we can grow,
Yeah.
right?
So we could
And
grow
so,
together.
yeah,
So we could grow
so
together.
we can grow together, so we can build together. I didn't marry you with even a thought of, oh, now I got me a wife, now she got to submit to me. That wasn't my purpose. And for people, and maybe that's the purpose for some people to get married, is because they or some men that they want to have a wife that's submissive to them, and so they can have all their kids and do all the things and extend the family lineage and everything.
But they have a
Maybe there
wrong
are
view. They
guys,
have a
maybe.
wrong view of submission. Like our kids do not quote unquote submit to us necessarily. We discipline them to do what we say until they're of age to do something else. That's not submission. That's what I just want to get out there tonight. Because I see like that's where the confusion comes in. Telling somebody what to do is not submission. That's rearing. That's something different. That's like rearing or at work supervising, managing, but that's not submission. When I go to work, I necessarily don't submit to my boss. I am managed or supervised. I do the things that she asks me to do, whether I agree or not sometimes, because that is a different dynamic. And I think that that's if you bring a children or any other type of lens to a spouse, that is when control and manipulation, because that's an adult. You cannot treat an adult like you treat a child.
All right,
And I
and
see that in a lot of marital stuff, Pastor Will. It's crazy.
yes, it's crazy, but on this podcast, we are all, who is that? Okay,
Must be Kai.
okay. um, on this broadcast, we're also talking, speaking with other cultures, right? We're
Okay.
also
Okay.
speaking
Let's
to
get to that.
other
Sure.
cultures, but I'll say this. You willfully bring me my plate of food, just like you did tonight.
Oh, for
Um,
sure.
but
Yeah,
at any time, I can go get my own plate of food,
for sure.
and it doesn't mean that your respect is less of me if if you can't bring me my plate at a time, or if you forget, or whatever. But I've seen where that those kind of gestures are shown as, or seen as, acts of submissiveness, right?
I see.
But however, I think we kind of, and we talked about at the beginning, is that submissiveness is a respect for one another. I
It's a
mean,
respect for one. It's an expression of my respect.
yeah,
Submission is the expression of my respect for my spouse. Period. And
yeah,
I think when you start putting it into roles and trying to make people do things because of the role you play and the role I play and all this, and you need to submit to my role and do this and that, and that's when you get in trouble. Because in reality, Pastor Will, the people that demand these things sometimes are demanding something of the spouse that is, if we really going on roles as it relates to submission, it ain't right. Like, let's just get it. Let's get into it. I enjoy working. I enjoy like going to work. I plan to do that as long as Holy Spirit will allow. God will allow me to do. I like going to work, but at the end of the day, if you come home and you tell me like, this my job and only I'm doing it and this that, and the other and whatever, and I'm like, well, go on. Like, look, I'm here for it. All right. And it's like, but then you have to carry the load. You cannot expect the wife then, now I need you to go out and get a job. No, you said that this is your area. You need to submit to me and do what I say. And then also you want me to carry this load. I think it's an unfair dynamic, Pastor Will. You cannot have both and.
yeah,
My
yeah.
opinion. You can't have both and.
I mean, I wouldn't dare be that. Um, I mean, we would have to live in like where the economy is is like so low.
Go
Um,
ahead.
but
The
I
Midwest or something. Go
Midwest,
ahead.
yeah, I don't even know if it's in the Midwest these days. But you're absolutely right. Is that um that would be unwise for me,
Sure.
for for how I see our family as them, and then this is where the man um role is, right? Um, what's the role of our family? Not for what's the role for the
Our
family,
family,
our family, the role
the
we
people in this
the family,
relationship.
the family that we be building our relationship. What's our role?
Yeah, not the
And
Huxtables, not the Cleavers, not
right,
everybody you seen on TV. What
right,
do we do in this house with what we've been given, and what we've been given is steward over? What do we do?
exactly. And our role I'll say that our role may not be what somebody else's, what else is somebody else's family role may be,
For
whether it's
sure.
my neighbors or
Yes.
it's my coworkers or whatever.
Yes.
So all of our families have a specific role to play in this place called the earth.
Yeah, and they may have different dynamics where the wife does just stay home with the kids, or maybe the husband stays home with the kids. It can look a lot of different ways for a lot of different people, right? But
And
that's not what submission is about. That's the point. The
right,
submission is about respect and respecting one another and expressing that respect.
yeah,
It's not about all of this role definition and stuff that people have made it about. That's the thing that gets it convoluted, because it makes us then want to manipulate, want to control instead of having respect.
yeah,
And I agree with you, Brother Cavante. Some women do have that same mentality of control and manipulation. And that's not about submission. It's about people want their way. right? And I think that let's go ahead and get into some questions. Is the
Yo, have y'all seen the Facebook post where the it's the young lady's birthday party and the young guy comes up and she's mad at him because he won't pay for her friends and he's like, man, it's like 18 of y'all and they like at Maggio's
Maggiano's?
Maggiano's, right?
I got you.
Maggiano's and like and she like, you know, and she like really yeah, exactly. I mean, she like really going in on him. And some
Yeah.
of the comments is like, yeah, he should have paid for her, you know, the whole party because it was her birthday or whatever. He should have paid for everybody. And it's like, what's submissive? What's I don't know. Like, where does this stuff start and where does it begin? Like, where are the values? That's it. Where are the values coming from?
Yeah. Where do the values come in?
Where does their values come in and where are they coming from?
Yeah.
Like who told what gave her the impression that this guy should be paying for her whole party? Or what gave him the impression that he could show up at her party and not pay for anything? I mean, I don't know. But where are the whether who's right or who's wrong, but where are the values and where and that's the question, like where is the value of submission or the devaluation of submission coming from?
I think that, Pastor Will, one of the things that, going back to our conversation we had about you and I just a moment ago, I think one of the things that is missing is communication. It's communication and comprehension. Okay? Communication and comprehension. If, from my perspective, there should be a communication that happens prior to, just any life events. Like, we should be talking. That should be a thing, right? If there was you cannot have an expectation without communication. Let me just boil it all the way down. You can't have expectation without communication. So I think the missing piece is communication, but also comprehension. I think that people are using submission to control and manipulate people.
Yeah.
This what you should do for me. Why? Who said this is what I should do for you? And so I think, to me, comprehension is a comprehension problem. A misunderstanding of what submission means. Okay. Let's get to our question, Pastor. What are some? We have a few questions. I'm going to the inbox ones too, but what are some false ideas about submission? Like spoiling a man husband, packaging his bag, giving his slippers when he come home, cleaning his bed. All that is hilarious. I don't know why that made me chuckle too, Tara. Cleaning his bed. False ideas about submission. I don't, you know what though, you guys, I'm gonna just say that as a wife, let me say this about this. What I want to do for my husband, what I want to do, what I choose to do, all the different things, it just really comes from respect. And that is what it just comes down to. If I want to give him his slippers when he get home, if I want to have a cold drink of water at the door, if I want to, like he said, bring his dinner up, I just real life example. I've been on calls all day. My first call started 8:30 this morning with work. I'm low key exhausted for sure. Right. And look, Pastor Willie they went out, paid tennis, him and David. He came home, he was hungry. Okay. What I'm doing? Wash the dishes and make him some dinner. That's the answer, right? All of those things are about respect. It's not about spoiling or whatever. It's just, that's the wrong concept in itself. Getting your spouse bag or doing whatever, none of that is spoiling. That's just, in my opinion, it's a thing of respect. And if in your relationship, he want me to wash his hair or clean his bed or whatever, that's a me and him that's a relational piece of our marriage. It's not spoiling.
But you put up that question again.
Okay, okay, okay,
Um,
okay, okay, okay. I'm going
the the question you had, well, what are some false ideas about submission, right? And
Yeah.
like you articulately said, but what's the truth about submission? And you heard me say this before. You heard Pastor E said before, is that the truth about submission is you're giving up your right to be right.
Giving up your right to be right. Giving up your right to have it your way. It is
Yes,
not Burger King. That's it. Marriage is
that's
not Burger
it.
King.
It is not Burger King.
It's not Burger King at all.
So submission is not who's right and who's wrong. It's about, yes, I will do it your way. If this is the way you want to do it, we'll do it your way. And you know
Yeah.
what? I'm not going to talk about you. I'm not going to tell you when it blows up in your face. I ain't even going to, you know what? I'm going to make sure that it don't blow up in your face.
Yeah. Remember that time, Will? You talked about this on Day God's Way before, so I'm gonna go ahead and talk about it too. He knows coming. That's how you bought that car?
Which one?
Yeah, the crazy time. And it was crazy. And you was like, and I don't know how many times you paid for that car, but at the end of the day, this is very early in our marriage. At the end of the day, look, that's what you wanted to do.
That green truck.
Of course.
Yeah.
It was crazy. And at the end of the day, look, I could get all like bent out of shape about it. Would it look financially what's gonna do, whatever it's gonna do? Or I can just respect that even if I don't agree, even though it may have a outcome to it. So what? Everything can't be a thing.
Everything can't be a thing.
Everything can't be a thing.
And that's what submission is. Everything can't be a thing.
Everything can't be a thing.
Nice.
Yeah. I had some. Let me get to my inbox questions before I get back to our live because those came first. So the question was like, why is submission promoted as a one-side thing for women only? And I will say, let's get into this right quick, that the scripture starts off in Ephesians, I think it's 22, that it starts out by saying, wives, submit yourselves to your own husband as unto the Lord. That scripture starts off like that. So many people don't read. So this is what I was talking about comprehension, because it is saying something very distinct about submit yourself to your own husband. So we can get that there's something else being implied by the scripture that goes beyond just submission. Because it says your own husband, right? And so we have to look at the customs from that day. I'm not going to get into all that right now because this ain't Bible study. But I will say that that's one reason why women are, that scripture is one reason why it's a really heavy emphasis on women, and also just gender things. Women, the weaker sex, those types of things that are stated are reasons why. And I think we've been clear tonight that submission is for both men and women. We submit one to the other. The Bible's clear about that. And also in your relationship, you need to be clear about that. Right, Pastor Will?
Absolutely.
I'm just saying like this. I would not marry a dictator. And I think that, you can do whatever you would like to do. Maybe you like that. But, maybe that's something that you enjoy. But like a dictator, somebody who's always telling somebody what to do, I don't think nobody want to be in a relationship like that. Like, what's the win on that, Pastor?
Yeah, I mean, I think you want to marry somebody, and you talk about a dictator. I think you want to marry somebody on at least the same or above intellectual place that you are in.
Woo! Now we really getting into something tonight.
Yeah. And the intellectual place is not based on college degrees or whatever. It's based on understanding. So you should be when you date or marry, I think it should be with the person on your same level of understanding.
Because if not, that's how respect comes into play.
Yes.
When you don't have that, then there's no respect.
Yes.
Almost every CEO that I've worked with and partnered with since I've been at C-level, I'm gonna say that, Pastor Will, that's one thing that I noticed about coming into partnership with that CEO, right? If the respect ain't there, it ain't gonna work. And I think that when you talk about intellectual and understanding levels, you're really talking about, can I respect you because we're able to come to a one about things. We have a commonality that we can come to in conversation, even if we don't agree. For example, me and Pastor Willie definitely don't always agree, for sure. We both think differently. That is true. We think differently. But the thing of respect is, like, we both value that we both have intelligence, right?
Right.
We have the ability to reason, right? To understand, to come to conclusions, right?
Yeah.
That's important. So I agree with that, Pastor Will. Respect. You got to have that intellectual level to have that respect. And that's what,
That's
that's what because if you don't have that respect, then you get into domination and or you get into running over that person.
because you feeling like, and this is where Cavante is about, some women talk down or to whatever, because they feel like you're dumber than they are, or you're dumber than they are. They have some kind of intellectual proudness somewhere that's higher than yours.
My goodness.
Whether it's finances, street skills, street knowledge, spiritual, about the, so you find people that this dominating type person, they're dominating because they feel like that you're not on that same intellectual, so they can just dominate you with their intellect while you give them what they want. Whether you're giving them sex or money or whatever, they're getting what they want, but they in turn dominating the relationship because they don't feel like you are on that same intellectual level that they are.
Yeah, it used to be the other way around. Tara saying that society teaches us that men are slower than women. And like, it used to be the opposite. It used to be that the society was teaching us that women were slower than men. And so there has been like some shift that has happened in society where that dynamic has changed. And I think what we're really saying tonight is get somebody, on your intellectual level, period, that does not see you as a slower or can't keep up or whatever the case is. They see you as, I will say this as well, like there are areas where we are stronger than one another in different areas, right? Whether it's organization or finance or whatever, there's organizations where we have different strengths in each other. Just because you have a different strength does not mean that you can't respect. Like you can't respect and the other person. So it's like understanding, coming to a place of understanding is one thing. Being on the same level is another. So I think that's important, Pastor.
And somebody, I think Tiana said, well, give me a specific example, right, on this submission. Tiana, I'll say this. Pastor Ebony is a financial wizard. She is a mathematician in many ways, right? I submit to her when it comes to managing the finances, because I budget. I take a little bit here, and I don't worry about the cents. I just worry about the dollars. I don't round up or round down. I don't do none of that, right? But she balanced the books to the T. So I submit to her when it comes to anything I'm looking at a car now, and I'm going back to it like, look, I need your. I'm going to submit to your wisdom in this. I'm not going to go off and do like she said. I messed up before. I messed up with that car before, so I would be a fool not to submit to my wife in the area of finances.
Yeah, we both have our strengths. We both have our strengths. And on that another practical example is like, for me in like the marketplace, and really being able to when I got the job, not this job I'm at now, but my previous job before that one, it really was Pastor Will that was like, this how much you need to make, period. Like, you need to write this down. This is your worth. Don't go under this. And like, I had to submit to that because I thought it was too much. Okay. Me personally, I was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't think I could get that. That's what I was like. But I wrote it down. I wrote exactly what he said there. I wrote it on paper and I went for it. I started speaking exactly that. And when I got that job, that's exactly what I got. It was that exact number that he gave me. And so that's, it's submitting to that. I could have been like, oh, I don't think it's time yet. I don't know that, that seemed like that's too much. I could have did all of those things and missed that respect and submission.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. There was one more question in the inbox, Pastor, before we go tonight. It was a question about sometimes they get like questions about their spirituality. Like, you more mature than me, like I got to get on your level or whatever. Like, how does that go with submission? Does it have to be, do people have to be at the same level, or are we just saying that they have to have that like understanding of the levels?
Yeah, they have to have the understanding, and especially like spiritual submission and financial submission. Like, they have to have an understanding of where you are and what your stance is. Because if they don't have that understanding in the middle of the relationship, because their inferiority will show, it will show, and it's going to show up in an ugly and disappointing way after your heart has gotten mingled and mangled in the relationship.
Wow. Yeah.
But it's okay to be on different spiritual levels when there is understanding.
There's understanding
that I'm on this. I'm in this particular dimension of of God's spirit where I'm doing everything in His will at the speed of now. And if you don't grab that understanding, you don't have to be doing what I'm doing, but you have to understand why I'm doing what I'm doing for you to coexist with me in this relationship.
Absolutely. Before I met Pastor Will, I had, book clubs, Bible study at my house, in my home. So like, those are things that like, he had to understand that. That wasn't something that I could like take a chance on. We had to be on the one that this how I live. This how I live. I'm gonna be singing through this house. This is it. This how I'm gonna live.
Right. And that's, I said something. I'm gonna go back and say this piece of it.
Yeah.
Is that there has to be, in order to be coexistence, there has to be mutual respect for where we both are.
Yes. In order for there to be coexistence, there must be mutual respect for where each person is, period. That's it. Okay, another question. If this makes sense, when is the right time to start submitting to one another? Should it begin in the dating stage, or you wait until marriage?
Woo. Shama Kavante.
Ooh, that's the Shama Kavante. Go ahead.
Shama Kavante. When does it make sense to it's his husband submit to your wives and wives submit to your husbands, right? That's a marital.
That's a marital command. Yes,
it's a marital command. Yeah.
The submitting we're talking about tonight is marital. We're not talking about to just submit one to another that we all do, because we all have to submit to each other too, though, because that is true.
Yeah,
That's
that's
also
true.
biblical.
That's
Submit
biblical.
one to the other is
Absolutely.
biblical, right? Having that respect one for the other is biblical, but having the respect that then I express that respect and you know, different things that I will do for you, those things come in the marriage stage. When me and Pastor Will was dating, I was really careful on not like fixing his plate and stuff like that and doing a lot of that stuff. I was careful of stuff like that because it's not the right time. It ain't the right time for me to be doing things that I'm doing now. It's not the right time.
Because you start to levy some expectations
Yes.
that's unreal
Before time.
before time.
Before time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope we've garnered tonight that submission is about mutual respect. Period. It's not about all these things we've made it about. That a good partnership has dual submission, meaning both people submit. It has nothing to do with being weak, period. Submission is about respect. It's one's ability to master compromise and the best interest of the whole marriage, the whole. Yeah, Pastor?
Yeah.
The first order is submitted to God in his order, submitting yourselves one to another in the fear of God.
God.
Period. That's what we're
it.
doing. And we submitting and being strong. I just want to say it. I submit and be strong. That's it. I could be submissive and be strong.
We and be happy. I'm happy. I'm submissive to my wife. I am elated.
Even though she bossy sometimes, y'all. His wife, sometimes she a little bossy.
You got better.
Thanks, babe.
Yeah.
She got better. She got better, child. She got better. Awesome. Okay, I saw unplanned and undiscussed engagements when proposals go wrong. That's a topic that somebody just threw out there for dating God's way. Yes, I saw another topic through a video. So we're gonna do that one pretty soon. I think that's a good summer topic.
Woo.
A good summer topic. Thank you for that.
Ooh. Ooh, y'all are heavy. Goodness gracious.
They heavy tonight, boo?
Y'all are heavy tonight. Yeah. So as you can see, again, as we close out, I hope to see
all
you
roads
all.
lead to South Africa.
All road leads to South Africa. Vision 2023 conference.
Oh, okay. Wait a minute. It's one last question, Pastor.
Oh wow. Y'all know I got a hard stop at 9.
I know, but we got. Oh, is it 9? Last question. Can you explain the difference in submission and not being a yes man?
Okay. Yes. Last question. Can you explain the difference in submission and not being a yes man? Right. So submission has a purpose. Yes man has a selfish purpose. Your yes man typically is about not starting conflict,
going along to get along.
Go along to get along, right? Or I'm gonna do this so I can get this or get that. I'll just be a yes man, whatever. You don't really want to be bothered, even though you disagree. That's not submission. That is, passivity. Yeah, passivity. That's what that is. Submission, as we said, submission is a respect for one another.
And you can't be respectful being a yes man. You can't be respectful just doing something because you don't want to get in an argument, or doing something because you want to keep the peace, because it never keeps the peace.
And you're really not articulating your real thoughts or your, how you really feel in that yes moment. So you're not, so as much as you think you're being respectful, you really being disrespectful.
Wow. Yeah.
So that's the best that I can explain the difference
Yeah.
between submission and being a yes man.
That's
Is
good.
that submission, first of all, submission is I'm submissive to God
Yes.
first.
First.
And then we're talking, remember, we're talking about husband and wives here. So I'm submissive to God, then I'm submissive to my husband or wife.
Yeah.
The yes man is me just trying to get you to shut up or whatever because you're getting on my nerves, and I'm gonna just say yes. I'm not going to tell you how I really feel. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm gonna just walk away really mad and angry. I may even put on a good face, but really, I'm halfway cursing you out in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right. You got to get to work.
I do have to get to work, and you know, but it's been real. It's been really
Great
good. It's been
DGW
real
tonight. Love you guys. Good
Yeah, love you.
night.
We added again. We did it again. I meant to play the other one. I like the other version, the remix version.
It's back.
Oh
It's
no.
back. Rapping.
Hey,
You're mad.
keep following us. Hey, welcome to coming out to 4520 Beach Road, Temple Hills, Maryland. You Cavante, you Tiana and Tara and Yvette, everybody who joined us tonight. All of y'all that just viewed without clicking, thank you for viewing our stream.
Yes, love you guys.
Ooh. Hey, yeah.